people don't really understand that Mona Lisa Boyesen and I was with Gerda from her time in London. So we had to adapt to all the clients and what went on in London. So because of my own birth problematic, I was born under the war, last year of the war, at 10 months. So I was more or less dead at arrival. So when I started my therapy, it was the birth process that came up. So a couple of years after, I worked then with Periarchos, I worked with Leonard R method, which was the rebirthing before Groff took it over. There was Janov, there was everything going on. And then there was Frank Lake's method, which I, after my training, started to put into a system that I called birth release, meaning not so go completely into the traumatic, but to focus on, well, of course, conception problematic. I made diagnostic interjected image work with about 10 stages, so I could predict and diagnose where the persons were at in their process from conception to actually coming out and the bonding. So what I focus on, I listen to people's life sentences, like, oh, it's so hard in life, or I start something but I never finish, or I am frightened of putting things into action, or in German it's der dicke Ende kommt immer, the bad things always happen at the end, or it's good in the beginning and it's bad at the end, or the beginning was horrible but then it was okay, etc. And then I started to realize that many of these life phrases corresponded to the actual moment of contraction. So I focused on the birth work between mother and child. And so I systemized then a birth situation where you, after this diagnostic dream work, you put a person in fetal position. Actually they do it themselves, and then you are, you have a person, you're being very much like in a fetal position. You work through vegetotherapeutically problematic.
So you create the continent for
the containment. Then then you go through maybe gestalt, how should it be, because there's no point to do birth release if you don't have a good womb. So you repair that. Christine Levin and Renata Abel has taken up and developed their way through my work, but I'm staying just, truthful to how I did it that time. So it's like a 3-4 hour session, and then you work through this relationship, which then later on actually changes. So we don't repair right away. You arrange the situation so that the psychic reality actually in the womb becomes more positive, and then people have like a real release with pressure coming out, because you have a birth reflex and an orgastic reflex in the body. So I mobilize that, and people will then come out of this containment in different way. They can come out like very organic, like a real screaming child. They can come out like a cannonball, full of energy.
Yes, yes.
They will come out the way they should have come out from the actual birth. And
so it will be repairing the whole system, no?
Yes,
repairing
yes.
the whole pulsation,
yes.
And the integration of the muscles and breathing in the situation.
In the situation.
Yeah.
So you think, you know, you're 9 months or 5 months in a bent position, and then I straighten this, and people then usually work with this reflex coming from the solar plexus, which is the birth reflex, and then the orgastic reflex from the pelvic, and these two movements is okay, starting to stretch, and it's vitality. It's because of getting back into a sexual feeling or sensual. So I call that birth release. And for people that have had problematic in their birth and knows about it, they very often come to me to have like a reparation or like water phobia or twin problematic. Well, I work with that quite a lot.
That I found out that the problematic birth, you know,
Yes.
or the birth that was not done in the proper way or in the best way possible, you know, in the future would bring special traces of character too.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then many times we can work from the character traces down into the repairing birth reflexes, no?
Well, this comes in the process of psychotherapy. It usually comes, but it's like I did so that, and then I used the Grotowski method to play it so that you have like in a vital, you have many people, like a big birth canal, and then you go through on a vital level. So it's just to feel all the muscles and the body. I don't do it so much on the traumatic or the character. I do it on a release. And then from that, when there's so much energy in the body, I later developed the psycho-orgastic work, which is, as you would imagine, that the way Reich talked about the body, for him it was all to do with like a half moon, orgastic reflex forward, but he never worked on the expansion the other way. So I developed certain shock impulse massages from the deep draining from Goethe, where I specialized on these 10 big muscles in the body, trapezius, the teres, the rectus spinalis, the gluteus, etc. And then I mobilized these so strong that the body, how to say, is kind of forced out of the psychological content, and you have like going from pulsation to very strong vibrations. So you would say from pulsation to movements, to reflexes, to vibrations.
Yes, yes.
And so I developed like a standing, vitalizing, psycho-orgastic dance, meditation.
Yes. Really, when we see that, we can really see people unblocking, you know, and liberating the energy coming from down to the top, from top to the down, you know. It's
I found
and creating also a very nice connection with the other, with themselves,
and with the person.
Vertical and horizontal. You know?
I found some old tapes, videos,
yes.
where I had people standing for like an hour.
Yes.
And they're quite interesting to look at, like 30 years,
What
35, 38 years later. So that was my two things. Well, of course, then you have the aura. The aura, the auric work of the massages going into the aura, expanding the aura, sealing it off, sewing it up. You know, I do quite a lot of that. But that's so difficult to talk about because you don't really have words on it. It's healing the aura, but without being, you know, medium. just using the energy of the hand and the heart, and that I like very much.
It's like the aura is like the extension.
I like the extension.
Extension of the body, so you get more
yeah.
boundaries. You know,
I recreate. I help to sew back the boundaries, like a person would come and be very depleted, having been sick in the hospital, and they're just leaking. So I would like seal off. I lay them down and then I trace their body little by little. I'm using my hand as a geiger, as a antenna, and then I seal it up, and that is for anorexic, for people with low esteem, sick, exhausted, normal, you know. You don't need it. I can tell. But when you're very depleted, or you've been sick and lost a lot of weight, and then
nowadays we meet several people in the work, you know, that need that.
Yes.
You know, like borderlines and
exactly.
People with fragile egos, you know, very fragile egos.
Well, you know, after 45 years in the field, it's like I have a pharmacy in the hands.
Yeah.
Available to needs at certain times, and then there's expansion of light and space.
It's nice to see the way from birth to psycho-orgastic. I mean, from birth to aliveness.
Yes.
From birth to aliveness. That's recovery.
Yes, exactly.
Recovering aliveness, really. You know. And I can tell you that many people nowadays miss aliveness.
Yes, that is true.
They keep down under the barrier of the best aliveness possible.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, what's specific with how I work is that I don't work long-term therapy since quite a while. So people would come with phobias or special problematic, and then I will work 2-3 days on that, like in a block therapy, and then usually that resolves, or they will have their special therapists that will keep it up. So, for example, big, strong men, muscular, coming, needing to release feelings, it would take a long time. So I have my special strong thumbs and my, you know, it's like, you know, I'm getting to be 72. So
Still very well for 72, isn't it?
So I'm just, you can feel my muscles. Come on.
Wow, fantastic.
Well, anyway, just for fun, because I work physically. So I think that is, well, you have different ways with image work, which I work with very early. How to, and I have a big cycle of revision, regression, revolution, rearrangement, you know, repairing, everything. And I use that to teach people to check where is the client at this point, right? And which method would be good at this point. So I do mostly supervision and easy stuff.
Great, fantastic. It's good to know that you keep receiving people for a short while.
Yes. Good. Like phobia, bird phobia.
Yeah, sure.
Shoe fetish. Interesting.
Okay, Ebba.
Okay,
Is that okay?
Yeah,
if you remember anything else, then
it's like a, you know, biodynamic is like a big orchestra.
Yes.
First you learn to play the instrument easiest, and then you develop.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
Yeah.
you have a huge range.
And it's nice to remember our orchestra, because our orchestra is made out of many participants.
Yes,
Or
yes,
we can
yeah.
say that, like our work is made by
An orchestra.
an orchestra of teachers and therapists, and
With many, and each
many
one,
different qualities.
each
Yes.
one can do many of the instruments, and
Yes.
some all.
Yes.
That's
yes,
so
exactly.
it's a completely flexible, ever expanding
Yeah.
method.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rubens.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we can finish now.
We can
Okay,
finish.
okay.